Hi, everybody, and welcome to At Risk International's Global Risk Intelligence Weekly Insights. I'm Ross Hill, Director of Intelligence, and I'm here with one of the analysts on the team, Roman Fisher, and we'll take you through some of the things that we find interesting or important for the week ahead. For the first one, the IMF released the latest World Economic Outlook last week. They revised global growth down by 0.4% from the April forecast. Growth now likely to be 3.1% globally for the year, which is around half of what it was in 2021. The causes of the slow growth are, as you might expect, high levels of inflation, slowdown in China, really from their zero COVID policy and the lockdowns they're having to introduce, plus some of it related to the real estate crisis there, on debts worth sort of billions of dollars, and of course the war in Ukraine. But the IMF also highlighted further risk factors that could slow the economy even more. So something like a sudden stop in Russian gas supply to Europe, Russia already restricting supply there, inflation becoming prolonged, where we end up with higher interest rates, higher borrowing costs for countries already significantly in debt, renewed COVID outbreaks and lockdowns in China, slowing demand even more, and then geopolitical instability. The IMF thinks that's a pretty credible scenario for some of those things, if not all of them, to happen. In that kind of scenario, they're forecasting that growth would fall to 2.6% this year and then 2% next year, and that would give it the global economy some of the lowest growth since the 1970s. And then passing over to Roman Fisher.
Thank you, Ross. Severe weather and natural disasters have continued to wreak havoc in the U.S. over the last week. In eastern Kentucky, at least 28 are dead because of severe storms that have caused record flash flooding, mudslides, and landslides. More than 700 people were rescued by helicopter or boat from the Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia National Guard. And according to the National Weather Service, flood warning alerts will continue throughout today, Monday. More than 70 large wildfires have burned approximately 3 million acres across 12 different states. Wildfires have affected dozens of communities and are exhausting resources, with wildfire season expected to extend past August of this year. A recent article by Grid News warns of a looming water catastrophe in the Southwest, and the article also states that it cannot be ignored. The report claims that the Colorado River is dying and depleting two large reservoirs that provide water to 40 million people. In 2020, Lake Mead and Lake Powell were about 95% full. The report provides data stating that experts claim that by the end of this year, Lake Mead will be 27% full and Lake Powell only 22% full. The costs associated with natural disasters are often seen in lost lives and homes, as well as the destruction of economic assets. They can also be followed by widespread crime that can threaten recovery times and public trust. Thus, disasters can create unforeseen strains and complexities on crime prevention and security strategies. It's not been uncommon during recent disasters that while law enforcement assets are diverted to engage in humanitarian assistance, criminals find new opportunity. They take advantage of the chaos and disorder to leverage new weaknesses for profit. This is, of course, all done while security professionals are focused on response and recovery efforts. And finally, several studies have revealed that disasters generally don't contribute to a noticeable increase in criminal activity within the affected area. In general, within affected areas, there is a decrease in crime. However, studies have also shown that unaffected surrounding areas often report a spike in crime, and especially that of property crimes. And back to Ross.
Thanks, Roman. So there's a lot of speculation around at the moment that US House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi is going to visit Taiwan as part of an Asia tour that she's currently undertaking. Officially, she's going to visit Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan, and no mention of Taiwan on that official itinerary. But if she did visit Taiwan, she would be the most senior US official to go there since about 1997. China reacting quite angrily, saying it will be a gross interference in China's internal affairs, and warned that its military would never sit idly by if she were to visit Taiwan. But China carrying out some kind of invasion of Taiwan in response to Pelosi visiting is very unlikely. And kind of any actual conflict around the issue would be unlikely. Although we probably would see China increase military activity, probably flying into Taiwan's air defense zone, which it does fairly repeatedly anyway, or holding other military exercises. Actually, in the last few days, it has carried out some live fire exercises anyway, but we'd probably see some activity close to Taiwan itself. And the reality of the risk of that is it's just kind of risking a military standoff and some kind of miscalculation that leads to an escalation. In the last few weeks, we've seen both Canada and Australia accuse China's Air Force of reckless and aggressive flight maneuvers, and China just apparently being more aggressive around their airspace. So anything happening with Taiwan, increase in military action from China, that would increase the risk further. But really, it is unclear if Pelosi is actually going to visit. President Biden said the US military stated that a visit at this time wouldn't really be a very good idea. So it's just a question of how much US is willing to push China on the Taiwan issue. Doesn't feel a lot right now. So expecting kind of a lot of talk around it at the moment, but not a lot of action. But that could change quite quickly if in fact Pelosi does visit Taiwan. That's it from us this week. We hope you enjoyed the information, found it useful, and we'll see you all soon.